I didn't keep like a long dossier of all of the things that you've said and done. But you know,
wanted to confront. This is your idea. This debate's your idea. You're not prepared.
All you can do is shout over me to make yourself feel better whilst your chat are all like,
you
oh,
literally,
you're so great. But the truth is, Lonerbox, right?
You literally
let's
talk
be
in all
frank.
caps.
Let's end this here. I just have a loud voice, mate.
I just have a loud voice as well.
No. You're actively raising your voice. My voice is just very loud. It's something that people always
Okay, well, I need to
myself.
match your loud voice. What's wrong with that?
Oh, brilliant. I mean, brilliant, Lonerbox. You really are like a very,
You don't even know who held them hostage. You thought it was Hamas.
I did know it was the Mujahideen Brigade.
No, not in your stream. You didn't. You lying. You said that it was Hamas the whole time. You lied, or you didn't even do your due diligence.
Why would it make sense to kill these people? Why would it make sense to kill them? Hamas isn't stupid. You're right, Hamas isn't stupid.
It wasn't Hamas, it was Mujahideen brigades that had them. Let's debate someone. Hello.
Hello?
Whoa, you are insanely loud. Hang on. I think that should be fine. I can just drag you down on my end. Do you want to keep talking?
Hold on, I was just muting myself to see whether my chat can hear you.
Oh, can they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7,
Yeah,
8,
they
10?
said unfortunately they can hear you.
Okay.
So you didn't seem too happy with my videos, Mr. Lonerbox.
No.
Why not?
Strawmans, just like
what
bad
was
arguments.
The strawman?
You said that I was excusing and like that it was brought onto Ethan Klein's show to support Israeli war crimes, even though on that appearance I literally described Israel's performance in that war as like habitually committing war crimes. So.
Oh, really? Because I've seen a lot of videos of you saying otherwise, you know. There was one where you were doing some forensic analysis, giving an explanation why kids weren't actually being shot in the head, how that wasn't a command coming, you know, up top from the IDF, and how, you know, I think when you responded to my original video, you said when the general's plan was being implemented, you tried to claim that, you know, Netanyahu and the top brass, they just didn't know what was happening, right?
I don't know whether they knew or not that it was happening. My claim was that it hadn't been signed off on by Central Command, which was what I read in the article.
Why do you think they've now pivoted to saying we're going to expel everyone from Gaza? Do you think that was just a plan they came up with out the blue?
No. Hang on, wait. One thing at a time. What did I just say?
What do you mean?
What did I just say?
That you thought that it didn't come from the top brass, right?
Yeah, does that mean that they disapprove of it or don't know about it?
Well, no, I think it's part of a wider systemic plan, which is what you try and obfuscate.
Okay.
And try and act as if it's like, these things, these IDF soldiers, you know, they're just implementing bad things on the ground. There's baddies like Yehuda.
So, first of all, why do you... Okay. So, this is also from the same H3 podcast where I said that Netanyahu was a war criminal.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I call him a war criminal, but then also say that he, like, the top brass just doesn't want to implement the general's plan? I can show you what I read in the article.
Because you've done it over and over again. You do it all the time. There are loads of bad empanada videos.
No, wait. Okay, yeah, we can talk about bad empanada videos if you want. Okay, one thing at a time.
No. We're not having a long discussion about that. His videos have long clips where you edited your own stream, didn't you? You took out part of your stream because you weren't willing to avow what you'd actually said.
What did I actually say that I clipped out?
It was the part about talking about what they were shot in the head with. I don't remember exactly.
You brought it up. You brought it up. You could. I can show you the whole. I can give you the whole stream unedited.
Do you want to just sit here and just watch a whole bad empanada video together?
Well, no. I just want you to admit that you don't even know what your claim is. Why are you being so hostile, man? What the?
Lonerbox, I'm not being hostile. I just think
yes,
it's pretty inappropriate. You know, your general behavior.
So what did I say about what did I clip out of that stream?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I didn't keep like a long dossier of all of the things that you've said and done. But you
wanted to confront. This is your idea. This debate's your idea. You're not prepared?
I want to confront you more about your general opinions. Of course,
well, you're
I'm
not prepared though, are you?
I messaged you within 3 hours. You knew I wasn't going to be prepared. Come on, stop with the whole debate lord shtick. You know, let's have a conversation about, you know, what you actually believe about Palestine. And first of all, actually, you know, the videos. You called me a terrorist supporter in a couple of minutes ago, didn't you? Because you said I didn't believe Chen Kugel.
Yeah, your standard on that was kind of ridiculous. Also, just to stop you from backing away from it, the bit that I clipped out of that stream was a bit that was flagged because it was videos of people like doing shooting videos with fake blood, and I took that out because it might get like a TOS flag.
Okay, but obviously, I'm sure that was.
But Bad Empanada said that I argued that those images in the New York Times article of kids with bullets in their heads was fake. I never said they were fake.
Well,
I said the
you did
opposite.
sort of cast. You did sort
I
of
said the
cast
opposite,
aspersion on
actually.
them.
Didn't I? Didn't I actually push back on
that
someone who said
Israel
that they were
wouldn't shoot
fake?
them in the head. They were different kinds. They're not all snipers doing it.
Well,
But
that's
anyway,
true that they're not all
anyway,
snipers. No, don't anyway me. I said
we
that
could-
they.
we could-
I never said that they were fake. Bad Empanada lied about it. Do you agree with that or no?
No, I don't, because you tried
Why
to
not?
obfuscate what was happening.
What did
Because
no
you
wait?
tried to obfuscate
You said
what was happening.
the claim was that I said that they were fake images. I didn't say they were fake
Oh,
images.
goodness me. So this is all you're going to do. Just sit there and go, well, you said exactly this and I said exactly that.
Well, it's just interesting that if you can't concede on one piece of information, then what's the point,
You want to watch
right?
a whole video on Bad Empanada then?
I can find you the clip where I say that the images are real, and then I'm like, why would you say why saying they were fake? It's quite a simple discrepancy, isn't it? Just to be clear, you brought up the claim that I was trying to clip stuff out of the stream to hide stuff.
Yeah,
you brought that up. We're talking about that because you made that claim. I've explained to you that I pulled out a clip because it was TOS. Not that I tried to hide anything.
Really?
So I mean, if you're just willing to concede that you had no idea what you're referring to when you said that, we can say that and you moved on.
I'm not going to concede because I think it's very obvious.
Okay, so you can just obviously lie.
I didn't write down.
You can obviously lie and then just refuse to concede. That's fine as well. Yeah.
Hold on. So all you're just going to do.
So you don't know which bit I clipped out, but you brought it up. You brought up the clipping.
Okay. So I didn't write down exactly the words that you clipped out, but it's very obvious what you were saying. You were trying to obfuscate the fact that Israel has been systemically massacring children, shooting them in the head, because there is absolutely no distinction between civilians and combatants in the Gaza Strip. But I would prefer to actually talk about, what we came onto, and I'd like to address the, initial points that you came up with. So if you really want me to concede that, and that will just shut you up for a second, that's fine.
Took you a while.
Okay, brilliant. So you said that I was a terrorist supporter for believing that Chen Kugel might lie.
Not that he might lie. What the? That he might lie, or that you said that you basically didn't believe that the Bibas children were strangled.
Yeah.
And your argument was some screenshot on Twitter says that it's difficult to analyze cause of death 14 months after the fact. And also, they lied about Shireen Abu Akleh.
A systemic pattern of lying much more like lying about the Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital.
Well, your lie about the Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital is absolutely ridiculous.
What was my lie about the Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital?
You said that the Israeli government or the IDF lied about that rocket from the Al Jazeera video. But
yeah, they did.
You understand
they did lie on television.
Yeah,
they lied
one
on television.
So. Do you realize that the entire press thought that Al Jazeera video was most likely the rocket, right?
Who did those press work for, Lonerbox?
Which press? AP,
who gives them their directives?
Reuters?
How free is
the Zionist press? Do you think? Well, we're not talking about Israel's press. We're talking about international press.
Yeah. Go on.
International press also used that Al Jazeera video, thinking that it was most likely the rocket because it just looked a bit like it.
I think they like to parrot Israel's claims. I think that it's very different.
Associated Press?
What?
BBC?
Yes, I think it's 100% Lonerbox. That's not even questionable.
So we have Zionist occupied press and the international.
You must know the BBC parrot what Israel says.
The BBC were criticized because they parroted the Hamas claim on the rocket. That's what the initial press reaction was.
And then they pivoted very quickly and just parroted Israel's,
well,
which was the objective lie, right?
Because it turned out that it was completely false, that it was an IDF airstrike.
But okay, so when it turned out that Israel lied, why was there no pivot again into saying all of a sudden, actually Israel's lied here?
Well,
it's pretty provable
because
that
the lie from Israel was one spokesperson from the IDF said, "I think it was this rocket," which it wasn't.
You're doing it again.
That was the lie.
He's not one spokesperson from the IDF. Who does he get his directives from?
Do you know the interaction between the spokesperson and the IDF when it comes to investigations?
Oh, come on. Israel doesn't have free press. They have an extreme military sector.
Hang on.
You know that, Lonerbox.
So you just dodged the question. You don't actually know what process the spokesperson goes through before he goes on the media and talks about what
Is this all you're going to do? Just be so...
You just admitted that you don't know, but okay.
Censor. But what do you mean I admitted that I don't know?
Yeah, you admitted you don't know. Yes, you did.
And you're just a very pathetic man going...
I was repeating what you were saying.
An adult. No, you didn't. You just tried to shout at me.
I was just
because you actually don't have an argument here. Hold on. So sorry. Do you admit that Israel has a military censor, right?
Yeah, they do. That's got nothing to do with the IDF spokesperson.
So do you think the
falsely using an Al
just
Jazeera
allowed
video?
To say whatever they want on TV? Do you think the spokesperson's just allowed to say whatever they want on TV?
The spokesperson's allowed to say whatever they want on TV. Spokespersons don't usually have that much regulation on what they're saying before each press statement. The consensus, it seemed to be in the international press as well as from the IDF, was that they thought that that rocket in the Al Jazeera video was the one that struck the hospital. It didn't even go into the IDF's final report, though. You can go on their website. They don't use that video.
Oh, fantastic. Do they not? Do they really not? So why did they do it then? Why did Peter Lerner go on television and say, we know that this happened? He claimed that this footage captured the misfiring rocket responsible for the blast.
Because he's an IDF spokesperson who's trying to beef up his army. And at the time when this whole thing is in disarray...
What does beef up his army mean?
As in he was willing to jump to a conclusion that he shouldn't have.
Oh, okay. Without any government approval, and no other Israeli government official said the same thing, that, oh, Hamas definitely struck this hospital. When
they probably were. Everyone was saying that at the time.
But you know as well, like Ghassan Abu Sitta, who was there, maintains 100% that Israel struck it.
Who?
And he was actually there.
Wait. Okay, he was actually there. And
yeah, he was there.
So wait, do you think Israel actually did strike the Al-Ahli Hospital? Are you still there?
100%. Yeah.
Why do you disagree with forensic architecture when they say it was most likely a rocket?
Where does it say it was most likely a rocket? Because it says that all of the rockets from the photo burnt out. Where does it say it was most likely?
All the rockets from which salvo? From the Islamic Jihad one
or
or the
Hamas one? Where does it say most likely it was a rocket?
Yeah, let me find it for you. I'll find it for you. Okay.
There's no words most likely a rocket.
Okay, I'll show it for you. It might be likely or more likely. Al-Ahli. It's in my... Hang on. Israel, Palestine, Al-Ahli blast, forensic architecture. This is from... When was their final analysis? They did an initial one on...
March was 2020. March is the one I was looking at, or February, I don't know.
Okay. And this is from... So initially they said it was an artillery fire that might have done it. And then they walk it back, and they do this Twitter thread here on November 14th, where they say...
So that's... Which date? November 14th, 2024.
Yes. And they didn't walk this back, by my recollection. They never actually said... that it's more likely something else.
November 24th when? 2023?
23, yes.
Okay, so that's that's before the report
before the one that you're going for, but the one that you're going for doesn't actually make a claim about how likely it was that it was a rocket or not. They just said it wasn't the salvo from Islamic Jihad, but they weren't the only ones firing rockets that day, were they?
So why hasn't Israel shown definitive evidence since, seeing as they have huge surveillance technology, complete control over the skies? Why haven't they shown?
Wait, who were the first ones on the site of the explosion?
What do you mean?
Were the IDF the first ones on the site after the explosion, or was it not Hamas?
What do you mean it was Hamas on the site first?
As in it was the Hamas emergency services that went there first.
You mean it was the Gaza Health Ministry who was
No,
there
not
first?
the health ministry. It would have been the it's whatever institution they have that runs the fire service and the emergency service. It's not the health
Civil
ministry.
Defense Forces.
Civil Defense, it was them, yeah. You're also aware that they claimed to have a piece of the munition, but they never produced it.
And they didn't. Well, I mean, what would be the point? Because there's no international investigators allowed in the Gaza Strip, really, is there?
Why would they not produce the evidence of the strike, though? They can show you the munition that landed there in the car park, didn't they?
Perhaps it got lost. You know, Gaza's been bombed a bit, hasn't it?
It got lost. Are you joking?
Who knows, Lonerbox, you know?
What do you mean, who knows? Is that your analysis?
Well, you know,
who knows, I guess. You're also aware that
everything there.
You're
when
also
you bomb the hell out of everything there. When you bomb it, and I've also, you know, I've met Ghassan Abu Sitta, and he was there, and he maintains 100% that it was an Israeli rocket that struck it. The amount of deaths that were there, that were caused, the amount of injuries, it's not consistent with any rocket that, like any Palestinian group possesses.
How do you know that? It landed in a car park. What happens when a rocket lands in when there are a bunch of cars around? What do cars have inside them?
I don't think it would cause an explosion that big. And he also
what? Based on what? Based on based on what?
What do you mean?
Based on what? What your instincts? So you don't think because a rocket that still has fuel in it because it's fallen short and lands in a car park where cars are full of fuel?
Hold on, Lonerbox. But the forensic architecture noted that all of those from the salvo burnt up. The rocket fuel was burnt up.
They only analysed one salvo. They analysed the Islamic Jihad rockets.
There were loads more that they just forgot to analyse. Right. I see.
Can you contradict that? Sorry, do you disagree that Hamas were firing rockets that day as well?
Well, I mean, seemingly the big salvo was analysed, and there seems to be no specific evidence.
So I'll ask you the question again because you're dodging it.
Okay.
Do you disagree that Hamas was firing rockets that day as well, like they posted on their Telegram?
But they're analysing Hamas firing rockets.
They were analysing. They analysed 17 rockets from Islamic Jihad. You liar. Hamas were firing rockets as well that were not analyzed by forensic architecture. No?
I mean,
God.
I mean, Lonerbox.
You're also aware that you're also aware that if you look at Human Rights Watch, didn't they also say that their one of their weapons analysts said that in like 25 years of doing this, it's never been the case where they've been unable to produce ammunition from a strike? Like as in every time, like a rocket or a missile or an artillery shell, it was from an ex-Human Rights guy, Human Rights Watch.
But where is it?
Let me find it for you. Wait, what claim did I just make out of interest?
You said that that there's a Human Rights Watch report where it was said that
not a report, an ex-Human Rights Watch
great
analyst who said that.
So forensic architecture maintain that they have debunked the claim that Israel has still not provided that it was a Hamas or Palestinian.
No, they haven't. They've just said no, they haven't. All that forensic architecture,
they have. Look at their report with Ghassan Abu Sitta. They say that we have since we, among others, debunked this claim.
Which claim?
They say it.
Read before
the source
it.
of the blast was immediately a point of contestation. Israeli officials suggested that a failed rocket launched by Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad. This seems to be the only thing you have that you're like, well, actually, Hamas did this. No, look at the October report.
The October report, which they walked back on.
What do you mean? This is October 2024. 24. So it's a year later.
So you understand that they analyzed in that one that with the 17 rockets, that's from an Islamic Jihad rocket barrage. It's in just them.
Sorry.
And also, you also acknowledge that they are the only ones who made this conclusion that all 17 rockets were accounted for.
What do you mean? Well, I think they've done by far the most succinct analysis of it. Can you provide me another example?
I mean, everyone else has been clear, as well as forensic architecture as well, by the way, when they said that the crater was most consistent with a rocket. I've showed you that as well. I need to add you as a friend for you to accept.
Including the crater. Based on videos and photographs, the ultimate, we constructed a digital model and conducted a spatial analysis of each of the blasts, including the crater and impacts.
Yes, so
a digital reconstruction of the crater to locations of the shrapnel markings, images of the blast of the shrapnel caught node. Much of the analysis of today's explosion has been conducted from afar. By contrast, Dr. Abu Sitta's testimony offers a ground-level view. Since the start of Israel's assault, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so why do you think it's so strange that, they would, Israel wouldn't attack this hospital when they've got a systemic pattern of...
I'm going to leave the conjecture because we can just look at... You don't even agree on what these organizations said. You don't even agree on what these organizations said. So forensic architecture, November 14th, they say on October 20th, we shared an image of what we suggested could be an artillery shell impact crater. This was a mistake. The image likely showed impact from a rocket. Now, if my recollection is, the crater did not change at any point between November 2023 and March 24. So forensic architecture still says likely impact from a rocket, like every other investigation that went into this. And the fact that Hamas and Islamic Jihad said that they had a piece of this munition, never produced it. The next day, it wasn't that it got lost in an Israeli airstrike or anything else. It's that he just said that it dissolved like salt in the water, which is what you say when you are lying.
Brilliant. So do you think that this is out of line with Israel's general behavior in Gaza? Do you not think that Israel systemically targeted hospitals?
Sorry. I'm not letting you get away with just worming your way around that entire analysis.
Get away with what?
And acknowledging that
did Israel not have any rockets? Did Israel not have any rockets?
Qassam rockets? No.
Did Israel not have any rockets? Well, where does it say that it was a Qassam rocket? And why, if it was a Qassam rocket, there would be video footage that Israel would surely have access to?
Which munitions are Israel firing into Gaza that they would say they fire artillery, they have airstrikes, they have drone strikes? If they're saying impact from a rocket.
But also, it doesn't say that it was impact from a rocket on here. On the one I'm
they say likely showed impact from a rocket. Have they walked back on that? Have they changed that since in recent investigations? I don't think they have.
So, Dr. Abu Sitta's assessment, this suggested to him that the rocket was likely a fragmentation bomb. Following the blast, many news outlets cited the claim. However, our analysis suggests that the rockets identified by the Israeli army would have burned through their propellant. This is exactly what they're saying. So you keep maintaining that this is a Hamas rocket, right? But there's no example. Forensic architecture, if you can provide me someone who's done digital analysis like this, reconstructed what happened and says exactly the same thing, I will concede my point here. But you're just going...
So you disagree that CNN, New York Times, Associated Press all said that this was most likely a rocket? Like a Hamas or Islamic Jihad rocket?
When did they say that? When did they say that?
They said it in November. They said it, November.
Straight after Israel went on television and said this, right?
What do you mean straight after? One is from 22nd of November, one is from November 2nd. So wait, just because Israel went on television and said it, then it could also be the case that Israel's claim corresponded with the truth in this one case. I don't know.
I don't think it does.
You don't even know what forensic architecture said. You thought they accounted for every single rocket that was fired out of Gaza at that point, when all they did was went for the Islamic Jihad salvo. So you don't know anything.
I mean, this is kind of like the point that you think you're a genius on. You think you're doing like some kind of brilliant military analysis, but like, let's be real.
I'm literally just reading what the analyst said, and you're not. You're cherry picking the fact that one video.
What analyst are you reading? Like, what analyst?
Well, first of all, I'm reading forensic architecture. That it was a former UN.
The tweet from October.
From November. From November. On October, they said artillery. From November. Then in November.
From November of when?
23.
From November of when?
23.
From November, exactly. So I'm talking about a year later.
They've never claimed. They've never changed their claim on the crater, which they said was most likely a rocket impact. Have they?
Well, they don't even say that in the 2024 one.
Wow, so they haven't walked back the claim that it's most likely a rocket, which means they are still bound to the claim that they think was most likely.
The model of the hospital and conducted a spatial analysis of features of the blast, including the crater and impacts. It doesn't say that it was caused by a rocket here. It says it suggested to him the rocket was likely to have been a fragmentation bomb. Do Hamas possess those?
You're just talking about Abu Sitas, though.
Do Hamas possess fragmentation bombs? Well, he was there, and I kind of trust his testimony over Israel's.
Okay, well, that's your.
So you don't
care what the investigations say.
What do you mean the investigation says? This is an investigation with forensic architecture, where they reconstructed what he was saying.
I'm talking about investigations from, first of all, forensic architecture when they looked at the crater and said most likely a rocket, like everyone else did. I don't know why, just because forensic architecture, who literally calls them the IOF in their Twitter threads, by the way, not a particularly...
Yeah, they should. It's run by an Israeli.
So just admit you're a propagandist. You don't give a...
What do you mean? What do you mean?
If you're going to literally change the name of an organization to like a propaganda term, calling it the IOF, then you're just a propagandist. You don't give
What do the Israeli occupation forces mainly do, Lonerbox? Where do they serve?
What are they called is the question. They're called the IDF.
Where do they serve? No. Where do they serve?
Oh, okay. I guess I'll just call Hamas a resistance organization, even though they fire their attacks into a sovereign country. Even though they fire their attacks into sovereign territory by international law, right?
Hold on, Lonerbox. So, where do Israel operate? Where are the Israeli forces predominantly?
They operate right now in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and in the West Bank.
But where are they predominantly? Where's the largest amount of forces right now and generally over the last 20 years?
West Bank.
So
that doesn't mean that
is the West Bank occupied?
That doesn't mean you have to call them.
But is the West Bank occupied?
That doesn't mean you have to call them the.
No. But is it? Stop nitpicking. Is the West Bank occupied?
Yeah.
So would it be someone saying, well, actually calling them a defense force when they spend most of their time defending settlements, arresting Palestinians, and harming them? Would it be that inaccurate to call it?
Yeah, so should we just not call it the USSR because it's not a union of Soviet Socialist republics?
I mean, if an organization wanted to, yeah.
And if an organization wanted to call them the batshit Central Command like famine overseers, really, that would be okay because that's what they were. Yeah, and you would trust the historian who calls them that. Okay, that's kind of stupid. Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of dumb.
I mean, Lonerbox. What's Israel done over the last month? What's it not allowed into Gaza?
Journalists.
No, not just journalists. But food, water, anything, right? They're calling it Hell's Plan.
Okay.
So what, you think calling them famine
overlords? Why am I letting you dodge the fact that you still don't actually, you didn't even know what happened with the forensic architecture investigation. You thought they accounted for every rocket that was fired that day.
Lonerbox. The whole point
no one has proven. So apart from Abu Sita you're shouting. I'm shouting. I'm just matching you.
But also, what your point here is, and what you're trying to say to me is, you don't know exactly what happened. Oh, wow.
Well, these are claims that you brought up, by the way. You brought up these claims.
What I am saying is...
Also, this is a former UN war crimes investigator.
Can you not talk
Former UN war crimes investigator. In 20 years of investigating war crimes, there's always a piece of bomb, and I've never... And yeah, this is the first time in 20 years.
I do that.
Even 3 years, and 3 wars in Gaza.
So, Lonerbox...
Even 3 wars in Gaza. And he hasn't seen a single piece of a bomb.
You're going to shout over and over me again.
From the strike.
The point in my video was not what I mean. I knew you would do this. You're just a debate lord. You're like, oh, you don't know every single thing.
You've literally dodged every single point that
but
gets brought up.
Let me just say something, Lonerbox. Let me just say something. The point in my video was Israeli spokesmen like to lie. They go on television. They make outlandish claims to say something that they cannot prove, that they cannot verify. Why do they do that? Well, they spread disinformation to fuel their narrative. What did Israel begin to do on a far larger scale after
Just
they
waiting
bombed
for you
this
to make a
hospital?
single substantial point on the investigation
what
or
do you
on the
mean,
Bibas
Lonerbox?
children or anything else. Like, this is just narrative. Like, just give me a point.
How is it narrative? How is it narrative, Lonerbox? It's a very
Because you're not saying anything, because you just realized that you have no idea what any of these investigations have their consensus
Lonerbox,
on the Al-Ahli blast. You don't know.
I mean,
you don't know what the consensus is on the Al-Ahli blast.
I don't know what the consensus is. Lonerbox, I cited
You don't.
The
consensus is that it was most likely a rocket.
All you can do is shout over me because you keep saying I'm dodgy. You keep saying that I can't answer things. So why I brought this up was to say Israeli spokesmen lie on TV. Do they lie on TV? Do they spread lies? You said it was to fire up their army, whatever the that means. But really, you know why they lie, don't you? To discredit Palestinians and make it seem like they spread lies, and so Israel could then go on and attack more
hospitals. Isn't this literally why every army lies? Like, do you think, why does Hamas lie?
What do you mean?
Why does Hamas lie?
But like, why are you saying?
Why does Hamas lie? Yeah, why do they lie?
What do you mean? Why do Hamas lie? For their own gain, but we're talking about Israel lying. Why are you just pivoting to Israel?
I'm not pivoting, but you're just asking why a particular army lies. Yeah, probably for the same reason that spokespersons from every army lies. Is there something special about the way Israel lies?
That isn't. Yes, because they have systemically attacked hospitals since. It is not outlandish to think, okay, let's add up this forensic
the claim wasn't about raiding hospitals. The claim was about airstriking a hospital and killing. The claim was about airstriking.
100% think Israel does that.
The claim was about airstriking a hospital, flattening the building, and killing 500 people. That was the original claim.
It was never flattening the building.
Well, the original claim was that it killed 500 people. You'd have to probably flatten the building to do that.
I think it's now claimed. I mean, on the ground, mate. If you're dealing with 400 bodies in front of you,
but you do actually admit that that 500 claim was bullshit, right? You actually
it's 471.
Yeah, and you admit that you admit that 471 was bullshit. That no one else confirmed anything close to that.
I mean. Well, the problem is, Lonerbox, is I would love them to be able to confirm it, and someone's going to confirm that.
You can't do it.
Hold on, but why can't that happen, Lonerbox?
There were international aid workers on the ground when that happened.
But it's not just international aid workers. There's no one allowed to go in by Israel. Why do they keep denying full UN investigations into October the 7th? Why do they keep denying journalists to go into Gaza, international journalists? Why do they keep allowing UN journalists?
What does that have to do with the fact that there were? What does that have to do with the fact that there were international aid workers on the ground when that strike happened? So yes, the 471 claim is bullshit because there were already international people on the ground.
Hassan Abu Sitta is one of them. What is your point here? Hassan Abu Sitta is one of those international aid workers who maintains what he saw, and he said no one asked him from Amnesty, Human Rights Watch, all of these places. They chose to not speak to him. Now, my point here, and even in the video, I actually say what forensic architecture cannot say is definitively who struck this, but what they can say is that Israel lied, and that was the point there. And what you
can they not say? Did Hamas not lie about the strike as well? They said 471 people died. That was a lie. That didn't happen.
I mean, how do you know it's a lie? How do you know it's a lie?
Because there were international aid workers on the ground, and people corroborated their claims of how many people died. And then it was. What do you mean? What report? Like you need a UN report to show how many people died on one day? You trust the health? Wait, you trust the health ministry? What do you mean? Where's the report?
I mean, what do you mean?
What do you mean? Where's the report? Like what report? Like a news report?
What's your point here? So apparently, the United States estimates between 100 and 300 killed. Al-Shifa estimates 250. Gaza Health Ministry estimates 471. Either way, Lonerbox. I do think that's splitting hairs.
So 471. Wait, so it's
at minimum.
So there's a lot.
Minimum.
Do you know what else is splitting? Do you know what else is splitting hairs? Arguing over an Al Jazeera video of a rocket that everyone thought looked like it was the one that hit the hospital, and then saying, "Oh well, that one wasn't actually the rocket, and therefore the IDF lied." Like that's that would be splitting hairs. Would be this video wasn't actually the rocket that struck the hospital, but everyone still agrees it was a rocket.
Pointing to a still from
everyone still agrees it was most likely a rocket.
Mid-air explosion. He claimed that this footage captured the misfiring rocket. So he claimed directly that it captured it. He didn't just say, sorry, excuse me. Sorry, Lonerbox, I haven't got much respect for you, so I didn't mute my mic. But, anyway, Peter Lonerbox went on and lied, right? So, sorry, I just have mixed up words there, but Peter Lerner went on and lied, right? Like, that happened. So that happened.
That's and Hamas lied as well, though, didn't they? The health ministry lied about it as well.
But you keep saying Hamas lied. You keep saying
they did
Hamas
lie.
Lied. Hamas, about what?
About the death toll. No one else agrees with it.
But what would it matter if there was... Okay, so...
What would it matter if it was a different rocket and not the one in the video? It's split. Why is one splitting hair and one isn't?
Well, still even, Lonerbox.
Why is one splitting hairs and one isn't?
Okay. The Lonerbox.
Why is one splitting hairs and one isn't?
Says 471. They've been pretty accurate on every... In fact, they've undercounted the deaths in Gaza. Can you admit that?
Yes. Why is one splitting hairs and one isn't?
But
about the rocket video.
Your point because this is just debate, Lord. My point is that
no, it's not debate, Lord. It's just that you think it's splitting hairs. You think it's splitting hairs to fabricate 270 deaths, but it's not splitting hairs to say that it was actually this video of a rocket when it was something else. What? Why is one splitting hairs but not the other?
Because one influenced massive amounts of international news, and the other one, regardless of how many people
every news organization walked back on the 471 claim.
All you can do is shout over me to make yourself feel better whilst your chat are all like,
you're
so great. But the truth is, Lonerbox, right? Let's end this here. I just have a loud voice, mate. Let's end this here.
I just have a loud voice as well.
No. You're actively raising your voice. My voice is just very loud. It's something that people always.
Okay, well, I need to match your loud voice. What's wrong with that?
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant, Lonerbox. You really are like a very.
Yeah, go on, quick. You have to make a point. Come on, don't be about the bush. Go on, make a point.
The whole point of my video was Israel lied. But you know as well, you call me.
But you also don't understand. But you seem to have missed the fact that Hamas lied as well, and also influenced all the headlines.
You seem to have missed the fact that Israel, said, we didn't strike this hospital. Israel has then gone to a strike hospital after hospital. Forensic architecture says Israel hasn't proved what they said. If Israel had,
so that's what I don't get, though. That's what I don't get.
Why would they send a spokesman on to just say things? Why would you do that?
That's what I don't get, though.
If you're a professional army, why would you go on and say, we definitively know that this was a Hamas or Islamic Jihad? It's not even a news organization, Lonerbox. That is an army that went on and said those things. Anyway, you also call me a terrorist for saying that Chen Kugel might lie. Hold on. You call me a terrorist for saying that Chen Kugel might lie.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I said you were doing, because you basically said that you didn't think that the Bibas children were strangled because you saw a tweet of a screenshot of what would look like a ChatGPT answer that said, what did it say? Yeah, it's hard to analyze death, cause of death at 14 months after the fact. Difficult to.
I think that's pretty plausible, Lonerbox. I feel like from,
pretty plausible, yeah, because you just jumped to a conclusion about murdered baby for no reason other than the fact that you want Hamas to win and you're upset that they're not winning. That's it.
Hold on.
You had no evidence. You had nothing. You didn't even look into the fact that it wasn't even Hamas that had the babies.
Lonerbox, can you show me the autopsy report?
The report from the forensics was that they were strangled.
No. Where is this autopsy report? Because I haven't seen it anywhere.
Really? So wait, do you think the health ministry should release? Do you think the health ministry should release every autopsy report?
Well, I think maybe in the case of like this.
Okay. So it's you only want it from the health. You only want it from Israelis, but not from the health ministry. I see. It's almost as if there are a million. You don't want. You want autopsy reports from every death in the health ministry before you believe it. What
ministry are you talking about? Well, it's a very specific death, isn't it, Lonerbox? But anyway,
why does it matter if it's a specific death? You realize there are a million reasons why people. Why do you think? So you think the family? So you think the family should publish? So you think the family should publish the health ministry, the forensic report, just to make you happy?
Israel had already made the decision to go against what the Bibas family wanted, right? Like Israel, used it for political gain.
Did they want Did they want the forensic report with the photographs and everything to be published?
Well, you could redact the photographs.
No, they didn't. Did they want the forensic report published or not?
But the forensic report isn't published.
Did they want it published?
But they didn't want anything that the Israeli government did. So
did they want the forensic report published?
Sorry. What do you mean?
That's the only question that matters. Did they ask to publish their forensic report or not?
They published things about the family without actually asking.
So the family doesn't want things published without asking.
Yeah, and the Israeli government did it anyway.
So you don't. So they shouldn't. So what's the problem then? Should they not publish? Should they publish the forensic report against the will of the family?
I mean, they've already published whatever they wanted. So
we're talking about that. We're talking about the forensics. Hang on. You have two standards at once now. We're talking about the Forensics Institute. I agree. They shouldn't publish information.
Well, the Forensic Institute. I think that the Forensic Institute already spoke. But anyway, Chen Kugel said that he saw beheaded babies on October the 7th.
No, he didn't. He was never quoted directly saying that.
Yes, he is. Do you want to see a video?
He's paraphrased.
No. There's a video of him. I promise
there's a video of him talking about the youngest person that he saw that was beheaded was a girl 8 or 10. He didn't even say he knew. He didn't even say he knew how she was beheaded. You realize that when people go between Hebrew and English.
Where are you sending me things? I'll put it in there.
You have to accept my friend's request.
I'm not accepting your friend request. Go in your introductions. You
Are
can
you
find it
that
there.
petty that you wouldn't accept a request on Discord to get a message sent to you?
Yeah, bro. I don't want to see. I don't
Why?
want you to see
That's
that.
so.
I'm up all
It's just
night
to
watching
send.
Hamas propaganda
It's
videos.
just to send you
Anyway,
a message, bro. What the?
Lonerbox, you're like
What's
40
wrong
and
with
you're
you?
shouting at me. You're 40
I'm
and
not
you're
shouting. I'm
at me.
laughing at you. I'm deriding
You are
you.
shouting at me. But anyway,
You're
I'm not sure
upset
you
that they
are,
didn't.
Lonerbox.
You're upset that they didn't release a forensic report, even though you know that the family didn't want it published. Why?
What do you mean? Because Israel already publishes whatever it wanted against the family's will. Anyway, I sent you the video and
What do
introductions.
you mean, Israel? First of all, the Forensics Institute is its own institution, okay? And it's
Yeah, but
clear
it doesn't.
that
Come
they
on,
would have
mate.
needed. They
Come
would
on,
have
mate.
needed
Israel's-
permission. They would have needed permission to send the forensics report out to the public, and obviously they didn't want to do that. So why would they? Your evidence is you don't even know who held them hostage. You thought it was Hamas.
I did.
You
I
didn't
did
even
know
do.
it was the Mujahideen Brigade.
No, you not in your stream. You didn't. You lying. You said that it was Hamas the whole time. You lied,
Mate,
or you didn't even do your due diligence.
What do you mean?
So you want to? You talk about
I
expressing.
was on a stream.
You talk about expressing skepticism, and you uploaded the video from your an upload. Yeah, you uploaded
Mate,
that video,
like, honestly,
and the entire time you said it was
honestly,
Hamas. You didn't even bother to
honestly.
check who had them hostage. What a
Also-
fraud! Get the
also,
fuck out of
Lonerbox.
here. Leave me alone. Hell, waste of time. Jesus Christ! All to lie about a dead baby who got strangled by their captors. Okay, waste of time. Ugh.
How does it feel to talk to a TikTokers?
There's a particular energy, isn't there?
Bro, why do you think people call him Chris Cuntler?
I didn't know people called him that. That's mean.
His name on TikTok is, I think it's Chris Cutler or some shit, but everyone just calls him Chris Cuntler.
No.
I was very tempted to hop in, but I know he would whine about it, so I held off.
Yeah.
Regardless. Good luck with the next TikTok debater.
Yeah.
I don't know where the one I'm trying to get to go through happens, but
It's just the grift, man. Why are these people so toxic? Like, Jesus Christ.
I don't know. But I think it's
He
like
just
if
came
he's
in right
friendly-
off the bat. He didn't know. He didn't have anything
I
prepared.
think-
What the fuck?
Yeah, I think if he was like friendly towards you, he'd get shit for it from his like the grifting.
I
fans he
know. I
has.
know. There's a real. Yeah. Whatever.
So, yeah, but that means they just have no backbone.
Pretty much.
Like, yeah.
He's posting Zay Squirrel tweets in Discord now. What the?
Who's Zay Score?
Zay Squirrel. The person who
yeah.
lied about the on October 7th. The person who actually clipped out.
Where does he?
I don't know. We didn't even get to it.
I don't think he does.
She literally
I
chopped
don't-
out the segment that said there was a pattern of systematic of like there was a widespread pattern of sexual violence, but just clipped that part out because the same sentence, the same paragraph also said that we don't know that Hamas ordered it. We haven't had evidence of that. Pathetic. Okay, get out.
Are you telling me to get out? What the
No,
f- brother? Well, he's gone. Oh, did you kick him out of the Discord server?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I don't usually like talking like that to people, but if they're going to be that bad faith, then yeah, you kind of have to. What am I going to do? Just sit down and take it like a little.
Sit in the
sorry.
corner and take it.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I don't get to like railroad you and like accuse you of a million different war crimes, but it's debate, bro, when you try to like hold me back on it. Like, me. Jesus. The projection.
What?
That is ableist. You guys are being ableist.
I can't help it. Why are you shouting at me? Fuck off. You just don't like Jews.
No, I'm sure he has a lot of Jewish friends from Jewish Voices for Peace, or the version of it in the UK.
Anyway, no more
I think he
bitching. Okay,
actually
go on.
dislikes Jews. I
Hmm?
think
Nope.
he just thinks that will get him internet clout. Like, I don't think he actually believes anything. He just wants internet clout. That's the easiest way to get it.
Don't care.
Pretty sure that's the thing.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Goodbye. So how you been?
How have I been?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, just justifying all the war crimes, I
Yo,
guess.
based, I can't. I'm pretty sure. You know the person I'm telling you to like debate or whatever. She's talked to him like a couple of times, and they hate each other's guts.
It's kind of frustrating now that I can't really like do these debates anymore because every time I do, some like lefty psycho comes into my chat to dox me and shit. Someone actually posted my address during that debate just as well I'm moving.
What?
Why?
What the?
Yeah,
Like just now? Okay,
yeah,
then.
like just like a half an hour ago. I mean, we got them banned pretty quickly, but like yeah,
Who's the
not
the
nice.
guy?
Who's
You
the
debate.
guy? Oh, he's just some TikTok
Yeah.
bedwetter. I don't know.
Bedwetter.
But
You know he doesn't know what that means. Why do you keep saying it to him?
Oh,
You know what bedwetter
this-
means, Mr. Spider?
me? Does it mean like you wet your bed?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
You have
okay,
any of those
Loner.
in America, or are they just only in
Do you have wet beds in America?
what
I'll
beds?
say yeah. I'll say yeah.
You have water beds in America.
I think we do in Miami.
Are water beds actually worth it? Or are they just like
No, they're disgusting. I've never even been on one. I just know. Okay, I know.
you just know? Okay, that's a lot of assumption from a guy that's never experienced it. Okay,
True.
that's like telling how a Gazan should feel in Gaza.
Whoa, Russ! Thanks for the 20 gifted subs. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I got one. You know, I can't
Yo,
stay
why did
subscribed
they
to
put in
you.
there?
It's not enough, honestly, because my God, what a f***ing toll.
Listen, you do that toll to yourself, buddy.
Yep.
I
Jesus
I
Christ.
What am I
as soon as you pulled out that video, I told you. By the way, that guy is literally known as Chris Cutler. I don't think you're gonna enjoy this in your chat. And you just, I don't know if you saw it. You probably didn't.
Yeah.
Well,
It's so weird that someone like accuses you of being a debate bro and then just does all the debate bro tactics where they can't even like concede the most obvious point, like no preparation, dodging every question that's going to get them exposed for not knowing what they're talking about. Like, it's just so stupid. Like how many stumbles was that? Like, first of all, it was not knowing, falsely believing that I'd clipped stuff out, that I said the New York Times images were fake. Then it
Wait,
was
hold on.
the Al-Ahli Hospital blast, and not knowing that everyone's consensus on that now is that it was a rocket and that Hamas's claims were complete bunk.
I'm angry with you about this. Actually, you should have like forced him to watch the anti-Hamas protest videos.
Oh,
what he would say about
whatever.
that.
There was what else was there?
Because
There
he,
was
called,
like
he called Hamas the resistance, so he probably thinks they're completely justified in anything.
there
they
was
fucking
him.
do.
There was him not even knowing how the Bibas children were killed, and then not knowing that there are obvious reasons why you wouldn't publish an autopsy report of a dead baby, but apparently it's okay for the health ministry to not publish autopsy reports for every death. Like me.
It's not even that. It's
What a
you wouldn't
hack.
even accept your friend request to see the evidence of what you were saying.
Yeah, well.
Also, by the way, next time for people like that, if you do want to show them evidence, or should they shut the up? And they're like, I'm not accepting the friends of war crimes justified. Just send them in your stream chat. You have this channel that's a voice channel. It has a side chat that you send shit.
Oh yeah, I know I can send it there. Yeah, we'll do that next time.
Why don't you? Like every time I have to send it to you, probably because you never use this chat.
Just like have your sources like on the standby. All right. Boom, 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 boom.
He did.
But
The guy just
did?
didn't want to accept the friend request to take the source.
Well, he's gonna do it.
The source.
He'll do his little
The
TikTok
source.
video and screech at the camera about it for 10 minutes, so that'll be fine. Hassan will watch it. He'll get his little
He was worried
He's
that
fucking
industrial
Loner.
complex payout.
He was worried that Loner was going to get him while he was young. That was what he was worried about.
Get him while he's young.
Get him on this, yeah.
What that mean?
Oh, it's because Bad and Panada's doxing me on Instagram. That's why. Okay, nice. Okay,
Yes.
Still,
banger.
That's crazy shit.
Well, it's a good thing I'm leaving soon, eh? Freaks.
wait for
First,
Israel,
United States.
Yeah.
Hey.
colonizer.
Ugh. All right, what are we talking about?
Boys.
What's the news? Sulfur was offering to moderate that debate. Bro, you are pissing in the wind if you think that kid was ever going to engage in any level of good faith. Like, no way. Which is a shame, because it's sad to see how that kind of behavior gets rewarded, you know? Especially for such a young little pup, you know? Poor guy. Did you expect it to be good faith going in? I think people can be, maybe not good faith, but people can at least be willing to just engage with a point and just kind of like talk through and give some time to respond and things like that. But he was just kind of like not that, I guess. I think it's what a lot of these people do is like they have this image of a debate bro in their head, and they think they just need to come in and behave like a toddler because they think they're matching like what's happening to them. But bro, I don't think people can really. What the is this? But it's funny to see how people like struggle with live scrutiny. Did he actually deny how the Bibas children died? Yes, he lied. Yeah, he said. Well, yeah, he said that he doesn't believe that they were strangled. Bibas children.
I mean, there's actually quite a bit of news to talk about, which I'd say notably is the Bibas family, and I'm not sure I quite believe what Israel is saying. I'm not sure I do.
Okay.
I'm not sure I do. I think that I think the missing body thing is indicative of the kind of mess that Gaza's in, basically, and the fact that there are so many just random bodies lying around Gaza, and that it's littered with mangled human remains, and that many of them have all been buried together, and that perhaps she was sort of mixed with. I mean, it's pretty horrible for the family. But this is the part that I'm not so sure about. So apparently, terrorists murdered Kafir and Ariel Bibas with bare hands, took horrific actions to cover up crimes. I'm not sure I quite believe that, and I don't think it's wrong to say that I don't believe that, to be honest.
Okay.
Because
why not?
I was thinking about should I have posted my TikTok, to be honest. Like, should I have posted it? Because it was like, oh, well, you know. And then I just realised Israel's lies are just never ending. And I said this in my TikTok. There's no reason to believe what Israel says because it just categorically just does not tell the truth.
It's just the entire country again. Imagine if anyone did this with the health ministry, for example. Like, oh, it's just Hamas. Nothing they say is true. Nothing. Imagine that. I love it how we can have nuance for like, oh yeah, Hamas will lie about a lot of things. The media office will lie. They've got propagandists who lie. Maybe this guy doesn't actually believe that they lie, even though they do habitually. But an Israeli like head of fucking forensic pathology, the Forensic Institute, they're not. That's just all of Israel, liars.
So I think Israel is just doing this to justify the genocide. The army recovered their bodies and returned them to Israel the following month. Initially, the army told the hostages' families that the three men had been murdered by Hamas. Later, however, they said that Sherman Beitzer and Toledano, whose bodies were found intact and bore no gunshot wounds, had died from carbon monoxide poisoning caused by Israeli bombing. There's the key point that I have to make here.
So the IDF might not get the cause of death because that's not their job, so they might get it wrong, but then the forensics later found out that it was a different cause. Okay.
Israel has lied about this before. Israel has definitively claimed things that are not true, specifically in relation.
Wait, how did they know it was different? Who corrected them? Was it Israel, perhaps? Oh my god.
The killing of hostages. This combined with this, and I'm not a forensic analyst, so this may not be 100% correct, and I cannot affirm that, but I can say that it doesn't seem like this would be an insane thing to say, or that it would make absolutely no sense. I feel like when you hear about, I remember a while ago, some guy died near where I lived. Like, no one knows who he was or who he is. He just sort of died in a clearing and was left there for a really long time, and they found him a long time later, and they were never able to ascertain who he was. And so I feel like, if you combine all of these things, is it 100% likely that this happened? Now, there's also a factor, which I've discussed with some people, of why would it make sense to kill these people? Why would it make sense to kill them? Hamas isn't stupid. You're right, Hamas isn't stupid.
It wasn't Hamas, it was Mujahideen brigades that had them. For one. For two, I don't know, maybe they determined, it's not like they're a fucking professional army, okay? They don't get fucking blowback for committing war crimes, okay? The IDF barely does, but some people will be dismissed or reprimanded or fired or jailed. Like it happens to some of them. It doesn't happen for any of them in Hamas. Not for committing crimes against Israelis anyway. Obviously, if you do something like if you're caught doing it with a dude, they might fuck you up, as they did with Sinwar, for example. Okay. But that was Mujahideen brigades. That wasn't Hamas who had the bodies. Maybe they just thought it wasn't worth like taking care of a fucking toddler, like a baby, in the middle of a war. Like they would be too heavy, too much baggage. Maybe they decided that. I don't know. But the evidence seems to be that they did it, unless you believe Hamas's like claim, which is not apparently from forensics. They just said that just came from like one of the spokespersons.
Stupid, so why would they kill the three most important hostages, arguably? The Bibas family. Figures who they could have exploited over and over again for propaganda. If there was any reason to kill them, they would have done it prior to October the 7th. There are videos of them with their captors, where their captors are like, oh, we're...
Prior to October the 7th? Okay, misspeak.
We're not going to treat you poorly. And this, by the way, of course, anytime you talk about this, people will be like, oh, you're justified.
No, Sinwar wasn't banging a dude. He wasn't banging a dude. He killed people for banging dudes. There was a top Hamas commander who got accused of being a collaborator and tortured and murdered because he was gay.
This, because it's the same with anything about Palestine. You're justifying October the 7th, you're justifying this, you're justifying that. It is not a case of justification, it is explaining and exploring what might have happened. It is giving analysis of, oh, well, this may
be
so
it's fine to explain and explore what happened. Interesting.
Happened to them, and this is why I think Israel is on balance of lying about this. And I think historically Israel shows a consistent pattern of lying in order to gain and to justify ethnic cleansing and murder and such and all of these things. And so I just don't see how this story really adds up. And I think that the detail of that they did it with their bare hands and strangled them is particularly interesting, and I think is indicative of what Israel wants to do with.
Okay, so no argument. No argument outside of. Let's make some notes for these two things. Why not? No argument outside of an unsourced screenshot saying it's difficult to analyze cause of death 14 months after the fact. Explaining or trying to understand what happened is not justifying, because I can just turn that back on him for every accusation he makes against me. What else was I going to say there? Didn't even, again, this is more like a just asking questions thing. Didn't even bother to look into who had them. It wasn't Hamas. It was the Mujahideen brigades. Okay. Which betrays a pretty pathetic lack of curiosity for something that you are so quick to make a conclusion on, but okay. Out of interest. What's the bone that can get fucked up? Hyoid bone. That's the one. I think if you're strangled to death, it would be this. That would be... Does the hyoid bone break during strangulation? Fractures of the hyoid bone are known to occur in 17 to 71% of fatalities following manual strangulation. Infrequently recognized in survivors. Oh, that's not hard at all then. Because a bone can survive. We're not talking about flesh here. Were they thinking that there would just have to be strangle marks on the neck? And this is for older people. This is for adults, not for babies, obviously, where it's a lot more delicate. Okay, strangulation. More likely in fatalities. Why is it 17 to 71%? Fuck! Oh well. Write down that killing babies is easy. Yeah, okay. At the end of the day, does it matter? A baby hostage is mega illegal? No, actually, it does matter because it shows how much of a fucking partisan demon you are. Because the standard of evidence that was applied was Chen Kugel, who was the head of the Israeli Forensic Institute, was the one who said that this was the cause of death. It was the head of Israeli forensics. So forensic analysis was done. And people always say, oh, where are the forensics for the rapes? The other side said, oh, Hamas said that it was a bombing. I'm sorry, if you trust the health ministry, but not the head of forensics in Israel, it's probably because you're a terrorist, okay? Like, I don't know what to say. You're allowed to trust the health ministry, like they are generally reliable, but if you're going to do that, and you don't trust the fucking Israeli forensics, yeah, you're probably, like the head of forensics, Hen Hugel. Yeah, you're probably just a terrorist, if those are your instincts. Because he thinks Hen Kugel made a claim about beheaded babies, even though if you look at the way that he's talking about that, he's never actually quoted directly saying that he saw beheaded babies. It's like there's like a thing where people are asking him questions and talking about babies, but like the conversation is about children and babies like intertwined, and obviously going between Hebrew and English. Like it sounds like he's saying babies, but if you look at him specify, the youngest death that he specifies about for beheading is an 8-year-old, 8 or 10. He doesn't say anything specific about like any particular beheaded baby. So people have tried to do that a lot, though. They've tried to debunk a lot of Hen Kugel's things, but none of them really stick.